Hi, everybody. I'm really grateful to come along and actually share with you some of my experiences. So we're all at different stages in our whole AI journey. Some haven't started, some are just thinking about starting something, some are in flight, and some are really experienced. And we've seen some brilliant demos today. What I hope today I can share with you is a little element of, here's some things to think about, here's some things we've been doing. Some are in flight, some are piloted, some are just things we've been really closely looking at, and also a toolbox that really helps you with your journey. So just a bit of a background on me. I've had a long experienced career at GE, AXA, Cable & Wireless, O2, BT, New Day, and now I'm starting tomorrow with Openreach as well, in very much sort of customer experience, digital transformation, AI, and leading teams and making sure we bring the customer to the fore. We had a brilliant year last year, and this was amazing. So we actually got accredited. You had to do 2 days of assessment where you had to evidence what you were doing. So it wasn't just say what you're doing, you had to show it. And we got industry leading in all the 5 categories of customer, people, operations, strategy, and culture, which then meant we went on to the UK Nationals to win the Excellence Award, the Best People Leadership Team. We got silver in QA, silver in Best Contact Center Support, and bronze in the culture as well. And we've won many awards over the years. So just a little bit about me. So what I'm going to cover, I'm going to basically help you with some tools and opportunities so that you can actually maybe use in your contact center. I'm going to talk about some of our experiences, and hopefully this will help you in your journey. So I've got a toolbox. I just want you to think, and this is how I think about it. And people may say it's right or wrong, but it's how I like to look at it. If you think back to the initial thing, if you haven't already started automation, then automation, we probably started that 6 years ago. And it's a real way of helping all that stuff that's repetitive, mundane, cut and paste, people sat there in your back office. Or if you use structured data, you can actually turn it into help and become human in the loop in your contact center as well. I see that as very much the hands. And for those that don't realize, a bot is quite simply an invisible, sort of agent that has got an access to your system. It's got its own little profile. You give it the same access, and it's particularly in robotics. It will, in automation, it will just do what it's mandated to do. So it will actually go and do what you do. If you bring in a bit of machine learning, you start to do a lot more with it. Then you look at natural language processing, the ears. This is the listening. It understands, it interprets. We've heard today lots of sort of examples where we're starting to see the two-way conversation, which is really exciting. And then you look at the eyes, the vision. I mean, we've all seen things. Hopefully, most of you have seen the capture. That's taking it to a very dark level. But basically, this is where a lot of companies use it for fraud, for identification, able to look at documents and see that things are happening. And it can help with those handwritten items as well. It can really look at PDFs and everything. And then if you bring in the brain and the voice and all above, you start to create text, music, images, videos, some really exciting stuff. I mean, I don't know if you use ChatGPT, but I've got some great examples. I was buying a place in Spain. I got the due diligence back from the lawyer. I had a document of the community notes from the urbanization. I just popped it into ChatGPT and said, can you tell me whether I should get this place and all the risks? It literally came back in seconds with the full breakdown of the debtors, the risks, the structural issues as well. It's phenomenal, the things you can do. I've used it for looking at jobs and going and saying, tell me about this company, tell me about its competitors, tell me about its values. And it can help you with all of that. It's getting so good, it can summarize notes as well. So, we really are getting to a point where we can do a lot of great things. And I don't know if you know, but I only noticed the other day that since about October, on our Apple, I have Apple, but on our iPhone, you look at your emails. I started seeing some words, and I thought, well, where's that? And I can't see that email. And I realized what it's been doing is, of course, summarizing. So you see a little arrow and 2 little lines. And what it does is, right in that little entry, when you're looking at your emails, it summarized it for you. It tells you exactly what the email's about, which is really exciting. And then other areas is machine learning, where we're actually looking at data, trends, patterns, and a lot of the fraud team will use this very much on predicting and probability of behaviors. And it might be used in things like behavioral biometrics and stuff like that, where they can actually, if you key in an email address, it will actually tell whether it's the right person. So if we look at robotics, case creation, we used to use it for case creation on complaints. So straight away it comes in and it can do that manual case creation. Also, if you want to make structured data, you can combine it with trust portal forms or forms, and they can basically, the agents can fill in some data, then the bot can just automate it, take it away, and make it happen. Cut and paste, very simple, and pull data from fields and spreadsheets. All those things. If you aren't doing that level now, you absolutely should be, because your benefits are you automate all those repetitive back office tasks, you support human in the loop solutions, so it doesn't always have to be the automation of the start to end. You can look at a journey where you've got quite a lot of backlog and go, well, what about if we took that bit, let the bot help it, and the agent can do the rest. So you can really speed up processes. And then movement of data in a fast, effective way from multiple fields, basically, and making them ready for the machine learning or AI tools to work on it. So one of the things we worked on was this agent assist, and it was looking at 3 components. The first component is called transcription. And I think what's really interesting about that, it's transcribed real time. You can see the agent, so they actually see the call. And it's coming through as they're speaking, so it's real time. Now, I know a colleague who did this, and she said to me, when I did my business case, I didn't even add in any benefit case or productivity for the real-time transcription. But actually, if you think of all the times when your agents are hearing, you're hearing them going, hello, 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 some of that is agent attitude, but other parts of it is actually, they can't quite hear it, but they can see it. The customer's actually said something, and it's transcribed in front of them. So it really helps them. Plus, it helps the sentiment, it helps analysis after the event. So that's your first component. You bring it in either through text or even on chat, but you've got your text transcription. So they can see in front of them what's written down. It does create the productivity through the misunderstanding and interpretation, so they can actually help them along the way. And it's good oversight for agent behaviors as well, if you can see things happening that shouldn't be happening. So like that hello, hello, hello thing might be someone just trying to take a bit of a breather, if you like. The second part, and this is a part I'm absolutely, for me, and I'll talk a bit more about this, knowledge is so essential. If you're going to do great AI, then knowledge is going to be core to that. And how you build that and how you sort of allow your bots to access that is absolutely key. In financial services and regulated worlds, and maybe in health as well, places like real high-risk sort of areas, you don't want to just let your bots go and look at external sources, because that brings hallucinations. And you've got to remember, your competitors could be feeding it with God knows what information. So it's really important you have a very good knowledge bot. And we built our knowledge bot very simply with an AWS Bedrock into a Claude LLM, a Claude 3 LLM, and then into a platform that sat on Unily. And it was so simple. It didn't need a massive change program. It was really simple and effective to run. And basically what it gave, because it was safe and they were asking straight into our knowledge base, we got it up to about 98% of queries could be answered, and it's still being worked on. So it allows them to have consistency. So if you look at what it does, it means that the agents start to use ChatGPT stars, because we all want them to learn to do ChatGPT and everything like that. But you have to run the risk of whether you want them to look at Copilot or whether you want them to look at ChatGPT. But actually, this is them using a tool that will ask a question in any form, and it will come back and summarize for them the answer while they're on the phones. So it's bringing the information to them real time. It's enabling them. And it's a really great part of it. And I'll come on to it in a minute about how important knowledge is. But what was really great was it gives consistent responses. So we initially gave it straight away to our new starters. Let me just have a sip. And thought, great, accelerate the speed to their capability, their journey. But then we thought, no, that's not maybe the right thing to do. We give them 2 weeks of academy. Let them learn how to use the knowledge base themselves, because there's always got to be a plan B backup, and then bring in the bot. And they loved it, and it really accelerated capability, and that's what took us up to the 98%, which is fantastic. It also identifies knowledge gaps in your database. So all those old documents that if you're not maintaining a knowledge base well, it will pull it out. Trust me, it will come out somewhere. So you really need to make sure that and you can go in and change it. And the way we introduced it was very simple. We had 10 agents champions, and they basically worked on asking it questions, and every time it gave an answer back, they gave us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And we understood the ones where they were getting thumbs down, and we built it and we worked on it and refined it to get it up and up and up in that confidence level before we were happy to then roll it out across the whole of customer services. And we then went on to roll it out to fraud and customer care, so, you know, vulnerable areas, and even it was working into collections as well. It supports those, one of the things we all have to deal with is a real multi-skill and a real complexity coming into our centres now. And what this does is helps them and enables them and brings the information to them for all those very complex areas where they maybe get an odd query occasionally, and this will be able to help them. So it's a really, really important tool. Agents supported the build of it, and they absolutely loved it as well. And then the final part of Agent Assist is obviously your notes wrapping. Well, when you've got that wonderful transcription, then you've got your notes. But you cannot worry about whether it's going to be risky and the notes are wrong, because initially you can do very much human in the loop. So they will summarize the notes. The agent can actually sign off the notes and give it a thumbs up. They can even go in and edit it initially. But ultimately, eventually, that will become a bit agentic where it can just start doing itself. As you see confidence levels go to a very high level, you will actually then be able to just start automating that automatically and sort of take the agent out of the loop there if you want to. So that's what I said. And the human in the loop enables the agent to be assisted. They feel really supported through this. So it's a real sort of taking part of the journey, but the confidence is that the agent is there with you. Now, I talked about that knowledge boss. I think knowledge is the key. And what we're working to is bringing together one knowledge source that will ultimately feed and be able to talk to our customer, our agents, our IVR, or our chat. So it's that one knowledge. Right now, and I'm sure we're all the same, we have a different knowledge source for that, a different knowledge source for the chatbot, a different knowledge source for the agents. This is really important because what it does is you have one way of maintaining it, updating it. It's real, it's relevant, and it's consistent. So you get really good answers all the time. But it's that piece we've got to work on now about how does it talk differently to a customer than to an agent. But that's the future. That's really important. Conversational AI IVR chat, well, you saw a fabulous example today. I mean, I am waiting for the day I'm driving along and I'm getting that two-way conversation back from Siri. Siri, I'm so busy, can you just pay my bill? Can you do this? Can you do that in my car? You know, things like that. It's already starting to come. Alexa's having little weird conversations back with me. It's not quite there yet, but it's good. It's very good, and I'm enjoying it. And I love having an argument with ChatGPT as well. I think that's great fun. If you haven't done that, try that as well. But look, the IVR chatbot. So, you know, if you're still using that big queue of DTMF of let's give them 8 options, then let's give them 6 options, then let's give them 4 options, then another 6. You know, it's just a horrible, horrible journey. Customers don't hate IVR, they just hate rubbish IVRs. And if it routes them well and gets them sort of to the person who can resolve a query or resolves them first time, then that's great. And we used to have over 99.4% automation of all our self-service, of all our queries in the contact center, either online or in IVR. And the IVR was sitting, even though we had a lot online, the IVR was sitting at about 54% still containment, which is massive. So it really sort of, you know, so where we were going to and where they're building now is very much into that conversational IVR. Just imagine you can ring up, you can go, I want help with my bill. You know, and it then will go, intent detected, sentiment is neutral, and the priority is standard. But you can also see the urgency in the voice and you can route it effectively. So this is definitely something for the future. This will bring that first contact resolution, the reduced effort, and the personalized experience. And this is so important because we all get those calls where it's come into the customer service department, but it should be in the fraud, or it's come into fraud and it should be in complaints. So, you know, this will really help with that. And that's something we've been working on with Sabio, so it's a really important thing to be looking at if you're not. And then QA assurance applications. You know, are you still doing that 3 or 4 a month on someone? Imagine you can do 100% coverage. You might not have to use it all. It might not be the be-all and end-all. You could still have your people doing the more complex stuff or the bits where you want to focus in on vulnerable or anything. But or they might even just be calibrating what this is doing automated. But you can basically get all calls 100% checked. It will show you things like the consistency, the sentiment. It can analyze. It becomes a bit like a speech analytics tool, so you've almost got it built in. And some of the applications you can get now are fantastic. It gives you so much info on the agents as well. And also, it's great oversight for agent behaviors as well, because you can really pick up on things in there. And it will show knowledge gaps, help you build that knowledge back into the knowledge base. And then this is just a finish. We were very much on case creation. We already got in place. Letter writing, we were doing the letter writing, but we hadn't quite got to the case categorization or investigation, because in financial services, that's quite complex. But what we were doing was starting to feed the info into forms, so then the letter could be written. And I think that's a really way forward as well. So you don't have to do the whole thing start to finish. You can do bits of it. Start with case creation. Eventually, you'll go on to the categorization investigation, which is a little bit more complex for complaints, but there'll be other areas. But you can be doing the letter writing if they're populating a form, and then it can go off and write a letter, and it writes brilliant letters. And of course, don't forget, with complaints, we're not just getting basic letters, we're getting AI-written letters to us that we've then got to respond. It's going to be an AI agent writing in to complain to another AI agent that will be responding to it, so it's quite funny in the future. So key takeaways from me. Check what you can automate. If you haven't done that, then start there and really start to think about it. And don't think you've got to do everything. Look at things in bite-sized chunks. Make sure you create structured data to help automate and give AI, so you can get those forms. They can human in the loop. They can fill it in on a form. It can be automated. Work towards a contained knowledge base or an FAQs repository. You know, I think that's really important. Yes, you can use info from outside, but remember that info, anyone could be sort of updating stuff into it. Consider conversational IVR and call transcription. I think that's absolutely essential. With that demo we saw earlier was fantastic. It really is great. And I think I've seen something similar. I think I rang the DVLA the other day and it was another similar journey and it was super. One of the things I'm very strong about is enabling my agents. So it's not just, they used to have 8 applications and we've built that single pane of glass. So again, it's about enabling and bringing information to them so they're really equipped. So with that, the knowledge bot and all the sort of support they get, that's what brings great customer service. You know, that will eventually probably get leapfrogged by agentic AI. But if you haven't got that, just think about how many screens your people have to look at and how complex that is for them. And are they getting skilled up to use bots? So that whole piece about let them have a little practice at using it in a way like bit like ChatGPT with your knowledge bot. And are you equipping your people to be the best they can be? Are you enabling them right? And you've seen some other application. I was going to talk about Workforce Manager, but you've done a fantastic demo instead. So that's all I was going to leave you with. So I hope that's been really. Make sure you do use a good integrator to support you, because you heard earlier, the costs of building it slightly wrong can be very high. So try and work with someone to support you on this. Thank you. Hopefully that was useful.